Hey guys, I'm live here with Megan Soule.
Hi.
Megan Soule, do you want to say something about yourself?
Well, as Kelsey said, my name is Megan Soule. I'm a graphic designer, and yeah, that's about it.
Sweet. And I have Megan here today because she uses Illustrator a lot and Photoshop occasionally. You're more of an Illustrator gal, right?
Yeah, definitely, especially for what I do, but I'm moving more into Photoshop when I get into more web design, so.
Yeah, so I have her here because she has done a lot of cinemagraphs, which is like the fancy GIF where you like isolate movement. And she's done some GIFs in Photoshop, so she's going to show us her process. She's designed a little coffee cup, as you see here on the screen, and we're going to illustrate steam coming off of the cup, and we'll move into Photoshop later on. Did you want to say anything else about the coffee cinemagraph later on?
So basically, I mean, obviously there are multiple ways to create a GIF and a cinemagraph. I'm just showing you one of the many ways, as Kelsey said, because I'm really familiar with Illustrator, that I take most of what I'm going to build first for a GIF in Illustrator and then bring it into Photoshop. But that's just because I'm most comfortable with it. I'll show you both ways, actually, bringing it from Illustrator and then making it in Photoshop. It just kind of depends on like the movement that you want. In terms of the coffee cup, we're going to be animating steam today. So it's just like totally up to you kind of how you want to do it and what you're most comfortable with. So, okay, let's get started.
And did you draw this with the pad?
That I did, Kelsey. I have an Intuos Pro Creative pad and pen, and it just plugs into my computer, and I can just draw this freehand. So I actually traced this, and then I kind of went back and add some like little like hipster sketchy edges to it to make it look like it was like a sketch that I just like copied also. Another way that I do it is that I will sketch in my journal and then I'll scan it over or take a picture with Adobe has a lot of really great iPhone apps that you can use, that you can take pictures of things and it vectorizes your drawings, and I do that actually a lot. So this could totally work for that too. You could actually probably take a picture of a coffee cup you have and do the same thing. So anyway, so I have this coffee up here, and like I said, so I want the steam to be going up. I'm not going to have it move, I'm just going to have it rise. So it's just going to rise in basically just like a loop. And you're going to be able to see that, you're going to be able to see that jolt at the end, which is like just the kind of GIF that I'm going to be creating today. There are ones where you feel like a little bit more seamless, where you don't know the beginning or the end. Those are really like what loading GIFs are. I don't know obviously like, the Wheel of Death on Apple, like that's a loading GIF. You don't know where it ends and where it begins. But a lot of GIFs you can see like a set motion. So I'm going to just be using pretty simple, just my paintbrush tool. And which is right here in Illustrator, and I'm just gonna create some really solid steam lines here, and they're gonna kind of be a little funky.
And we have a hello from Mohammed in Egypt.
Hi, Mohammed.
And Richard James Milne, I'm not sure, said nice.
Cool.
Thanks, Richard, and thanks, Mohammed, for tuning in.
Okay, so what I'm going to do first is, because I want all of these, the hardest part about the GIF is basically getting those little details, because you can always see when there's something off with the GIF that it doesn't really feel like it's a loop anymore. So what I'm going to do with this steam that I just created, I'm going to use my eraser tool, and I'm going to hold the shift bar so I create a straight eraser line. And I'm going to cut off the bottom of these edges. So the reason I do that is because I want the steam to, here we go, just deleting it, to basically all come from one place in the coffee cup. And you can see right now I've created too much steam. So I'm just going to delete the extra one on the edge. And I can move them around if I want. Like I see here, I'm just using my cursor. What I'm going to do is I want this steam to be really high off at the end. So actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, each individual one, kind of move over, create a little custom.
We have someone from
version.
Zimbabwe, Africa, from Vancouver, and a hello from California.
Hi from California. Actually, I'm not in California. Hi from DC.
Hello, California.
Hello, California. Okay, so I mean, it's not perfect. Again, you can play around with this as much as you want, but basically, that's just a flat out straight line. Spaghetti
so
steam.
If you guys are just tuning in now, Megan is illustrating steam from the coffee inside of Illustrator, and then we're gonna bring it into Photoshop to turn it into a GIF, correct?
Yeah. So basically, we're going to show you 2 ways to make all the elements that you have in Illustrator and then to kind of play around with the movement in Photoshop. So this is what basically I want the end of my GIF to look like. So the best part of this is now I'm going to take this steam, I'm just highlighting over everything. I'm going to hold Option and create a copy of it. You can see here. If I let go, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the eraser tool again and kind of cut off part of my steam because that's like, it's just basically going to grow. So I'm doing this like kind of on it, like it doesn't have to be perfect because guess what, steam isn't either. So this is what it's going to look like in the middle, and then I'm going to hold Option one more time, and then I'll move this over here.
So you're basically creating like different lengths of the steam so
Yeah.
it will grow over time.
Yeah, basically that's kind of the idea. And I'm just using the eraser tool. And the reason I use the paintbrush tool, by the way, too, and why I actually really like doing this in Illustrator is because Illustrator, unlike Photoshop, will take any line that you create is a vector. It has vector points. So if I'm using my direct selection tool over here, the little white mouse, and I click on one of these, you can see it. This has a ton of points. In Photoshop, for instance, most of the time if you're using the paintbrush tool, it's stuck on that layer. You can't edit it, you can't move it again. It just basically becomes like a permanent part of it. Of course, there are different ways to do it, but this is why I just find it the easiest.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna highlight over my last piece. I'm gonna do Command G to group my last like piece of steam. I'm gonna do the same thing for the first. Do Command G, and I'm just grouping all these so they don't get pulled apart, basically. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go to Photoshop. So I already created an artboard, and what I did is I just went to File, New, or not? I think
Oh yeah, it's on the other. Little bit of a lag.
Anyway, I just created an artboard that was 800 pixels by 800 pixels. So I did that just because it sends a square standard size, which could work on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, basically. So I would just change the pixel size here to 800 by 800, and then just pick create once I was done, and I got this. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move over my base. So the piece of this that's really important is that you are basically, the layers that you're going to have are only going to be the things that you're going to move, if that makes sense. And you'll see that kind of as we go along. But I want to make sure my base is set, which means my coffee cup isn't moving in this GIF. So I want to make sure that that is a solid layer by itself. So I'm going to go back to Illustrator, and I'm going to first of all move my steam up so I don't catch it in my coffee cup. I'm going to highlight my entire coffee cup.
So we're exporting each asset.
Yeah, and you don't even need to export it, which is
Okay.
great because in Adobe you can bring over anything from Illustrator to Photoshop, Photoshop to InDesign. It's awesome. So I'm just do Command C to copy it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Over to Photoshop and do Command V and to paste it.
Smart object or?
Yeah, so I want it to be a smart object.
And can you explain what a smart object is?
Basically, it means it's allowing you to edit it, and it's linking back to where it originally was.
Sweet.
So if I hit OK. Cool.
Somebody asked about it being a transparent layer. And yes, so in Illustrator it had a white background, but it wasn't actually a part of the illustration.
Yes.
Is it
are you
completely transparent, the coffee cup right now, or is it filled white?
It is transparent.
Okay.
Perfect. Purposefully though, so I could put this in any background.
Sure.
So Illustrator, the artboards are always white. In Photoshop, it depends on the settings that you do. So right now in Photoshop, I have a white background. You see this layer right here called white. I can hide this, and it's transparent. But the only reason I have a white background is so that it's easier for all of us right now to see what I'm doing. Yeah. Exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to these are my preference settings in Photoshop, is to always have auto select on and do auto select by layer instead of group. The reason I do that is that it allows me to kind of like very easily click on specific things, which is why, like, okay, take for instance, I love Illustrator, which that's an automatic setting. So I want to know in Photoshop that I can just not have to think about it so much and be able to select layers in the same way. So I can select my coffee cup here and it automatically knows this is what I want. I don't have to go to the layers panel and click on it. So I'm going to bring this down to the bottom here. We're good with that. And then the next part is, so great, like I have a layer, so how to make a GIF. And part of that is just changing your settings on what you're seeing. So you can go to Window, workspace, and then you do motion. And then here you see that it created.
You may want to bring it up just a tad because of the overlay.
True.
I don't know how to do that actually.
I wanted me bring you up.
Maybe it's over here. Like bring that up.
No,
there was something hovering there.
Make it wider. Hold on. Let me just.
Yeah, just bring it up.
We're just gonna bring this.
Yeah.
Up. Here we go. Okay.
And somebody asked about the PPI 96, not 300. Maybe
it depends. Like it totally is up to you. Like if this is just going to be something maybe I'm sending around to my friends on my phone, a higher resolution is probably fine.
Yeah.
But really, like the reason I usually do it a higher resolution beginning with GIF, with like a graphic GIF like this or a sketch GIF, it's not as important. For video, it is important. And mostly the resolution size and like the PPI is most important when you're exporting it, because you're going to make sure you're going to save for web and then save at a lower resolution so that you can basically upload it to the other places and there's not a lag time.
Yeah, and also with GIF too, like it kind of has that grainy effect because a GIF is a compressed format and it only can actually read certain colors. Obviously here we're only working with black and white, so it'll work out really well. But if you notice, GIFs kind of have that grainy texture to it, and that's just sort of the aesthetic, you know?
It's also like the compression type as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to copy my first layer of steam. And just gonna, like I said, do Command C, go over back to Photoshop and do Command V, and I'm gonna do this again as a smart object, and I'm gonna kind of place it where I want it to, in the middle of the coffee cup, and then just hit Enter or hit the check mark at the top. Cool. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the middle one.
Also, if you guys want to ask questions, you'll be entered into a lottery to win. I actually am wearing it, and Megan's not wearing hers.
I'm sorry.
But this gal t-shirt, I have them on sale usually in my store, but I'm sending them out for free usually when I do a live stream, but only one person will win it, as well as one of my video editing templates, which I have at premiergal.com/store. I have templates for Instagram stories, for photography slideshows. I even have some Square podcast templates for Premiere Pro, so lots of cool stuff, and you can choose any one that you want.
Oops.
And Megan is pasting the steam into Photoshop right now, and she's going to show us how to animate it into a GIF.
Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm making sure that all of these layers are aligned. So basically that they all have the same base point, so that, maybe one of these pieces of steam, like if I moved this one over here, you can see this is a vector. I'll name this like steam 3. Actually, this will be easier. Steam.
I like how Shakespeare's featured.
I know.
In my library. Shout out to Helena.
Okay, and then I'm gonna name this.
It's always good to name your layers, guys, because
I'm also very type A about it, I'll be quite honest.
Megan is type A, but in the long run, it saves you time if you have to reopen it and edit it, and you don't have to figure out what the heck are these 20 layers in your layer panel.
Anyway, basically what I was doing was making sure I was just aligning them when I was copying and pasting them, because you see that they kind of came off like one was moving. Sorry, hold on. One of the steam came over here, for instance. So I would want to make sure I was moving it back so that it aligned. And you can kind of see that. Do you see those pink lines that show up?
Yes.
That'll help me basically align it to the other pieces of steam. And that's really important because we don't want it to start at different heights. We just want this to rise. That's all. And so what we're going to do here now is that you can see, for those of you who haven't used Timeline before, and haven't used the motion graphics part, usually there will be a little box right here that has a drop down. We'll ask you to decide between video animation and a frame animation. So what I did, sorry, because we already started this file, was creating a frame animation. And then all that does...
What is the frame animation?
So frame animation is allowing you to take layers and make frames. So I know that's like literally the answer, but the other one is pretty like a video animation is what it is. Like you're taking video and you're creating a cinemagraph or a GIF with it in Photoshop. You're using like smart objects or layers or shapes, and that's when you're creating a frame animation. Anything that's just basically not a video file. So what I'm going to do here is that you can see that all of my layers are visible right now. And what I wanted to do, remember, with the smaller steam, I want that to be showing first. So I'm going to hide steam 3 and steam 2. Actually, I think I mislabeled these. Sorry, guys. Yes, I did. This should be steam 1.
Mm-hmm.
See, it is important to
Yeah.
but also label them correct.
And relabel and fix.
Anyway, so we have this cup here first. We can either start out as this being the base. We can just do that just for us right here.
I like that.
And then what we're going to do is I'm going to create this thing, which is right here. You see the little page with the turn. And it looks like the page is like folded over.
Yeah.
Basically, across Adobe, it means that you're creating something new. So like a new layer in Photoshop or even in Illustrator has the page with the little turn. So that means it's basically always creating something new, like a new swatch, a new color, stuff like that. So I'm going to create another one, and you can see that they're the same this time. Mm-hmm. But on frame 1, there's nothing. And if I hit frame 2, and then I make steam 1 visible, you can see here, I move between the two.
So cool.
Back
I
and
love
forth.
it.
So then what we're going to do is we're going to create another layer, hide steam 1, show steam 2. One more. Hide steam 2, show steam 3. So you can see here, you can pretty much guess that if we only have 4 frames in a GIF, it's going to be pretty jolty between, and by that I mean we'll just play it for you. I mean, it's not bad, but like it definitely could be a lot more seamless. And all that would take is basically creating more steam layers. So, as I said, I created these in Illustrator and then I brought these over. But another great GIF I've kind of seen is if you have a frame and you take a picture of a frame and then you have a basically almost like a slideshow of photos going through it as a GIF. And those would be things that you would bring in because those are already exported files and then you would bring those in as layers, if that makes sense. So and I'll show you how to do that.
What we could do is then have it go back down again.
Yeah,
so
we could totally do that.
Them, like duplicate it and then remove the layers going backwards.
So we'll create one more layer, get rid of steam 3, show steam 2. One more layer. Oops, sorry. One more layer, create steam 2, 1, and then just the regular. So if we hit play, so this is what I'm doing right now. Most of the default, by the way, for this setting is 1 second. So if I wanted to change the timing on all of these, which is usually, again, what you're going to want to do in a GIF. The only thing that I would say that's different about this is that sometimes in loading GIFs, if you want like the last frame to really stand out, you could make that frame longer. So all you're going to do is click on this little drop down and see it says 0.2. You click here. And I can increase this by seconds. Right now I have it at 0.2. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but again, you want it to kind of find like a happy medium for making it not look like you're showing like frame, frame, frame. It wants to be more like frame, 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 frame. It's like stop motion. It's exactly that, except we are not literally just taking pictures, that we are basically creating those different frames. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease all of them. And so actually I'll hit play first so you can see how this is playing out. You can see here, because I'm clicked on Steam 2, you could see the box around it. So I'm going to click off real quick here so you can see a better view of it. Not bad, right?
Go. There's our little coffee steam GIF.
Yeah. So the great thing about that is then what would happen at the end is if when we export it as GIF, you actually would not know the beginning and the end because it would just be looping consistently, which is really cool. And again, you could totally have just stopped with the highest steam and just continued. Like that's completely fine as well. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to slow down the speed so that you can see really what that does. So I'm going to click on the first frame, hold shift, click on the last one, and then hit the drop down on any of these. And I'm going to up it to 5 seconds, which is, okay, maybe not. That might, maybe, we'll just do 1 second. This might take forever.
1 second would be, be so slow.
But we'll hit play again. Okay, so you've already lost my attention. Like, I can't pay attention.
So
anyway.
If somebody wanted to, like, put a background on this, then you would have to add the background to each frame?
No.
No?
No. So the thing is, you can see here that my background is visible in all of them. If I wanted to just, like, even just change...
Color picker.
Except, Kelsey, you have a different view right now. So if I just wanted to create say for instance, just another color here. I clicked on my layer, my background, went to rectangle. Okay, there are 5 different ways to change the color of a rectangle. So if you have a different way, that's totally cool too. We're gonna hit here, see the fill, then becomes available. I'll hit fill, and we'll just do this color. That's a really ugly color. It's also pretty bad. Okay, this one's better. I know it's gray. I'm a grayscale kind of girl.
White and gray.
It's fine. We can make it purple. Like, it's just aggressive when it's
So the
purple.
idea with this, guys, is that, you know, as you're animating the coffee stain too, if you wanted to add some text that says like good morning or like cup of joe, you can do that as well. It's the same concept. So you know those like GIFs that you search for on like Twitter when you attach GIFs to tweets, or even on Facebook and you search the Giphy archive, there's a lot of illustrative type of GIFs just like this.
Yeah, just for type.
This is how they did it, most likely. They probably separated out the layers and did it in Photoshop.
Yeah, it's really easy. So I tend to do a GIF like almost like a Finding Nemo GIF, where the fish just moved across the page. And basically all I did was from frame to frame, I moved the fish. So I'll show you another thing. This is gonna make absolutely no sense for a coffee cup, but like I just wanna show you that you can do this motion in Photoshop as well. So I'm gonna get rid of all these layers real quick, okay? Frames, not layers.
And for Akash, who said it's too slow, we just did that to illustrate it. Normally, we only have it at like 0.1 or 0.2.
Yeah, we'll show you that real quick for those of you who are just tuning in. So we'll do 0.1, and then I'm just gonna play. I actually don't know if I like that much, but let's try the 0.2. I kind of like the 0.2.
Yeah, it's a little bit more jolty. Yeah,
and you see in a GIF it would just,
but it would just keep rotating and rotating.
Yeah. So that's the idea. You can also do a custom speed if we wanted. So yeah, no, it's important though. You can hit other.
Over here.
No, it's over here, sorry. And then we're gonna do like 0.05. It's gonna be a bit fast, but
yeah, I kind of like that.
Again, remember,
Do you know if there's a way to loop it under once? Can we change it to looping forever? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's not bad. What I would have done if we had more time is also just create more like steam layers at different heights, or done something like that. It's not bad though. Like it totally works. It gets the like job across. If you want something that feels like a little bit more sketchy, a little bit. And
if they wanted to export it, like,
so
as a GIF.
Yeah, we'll do that real quick. So we go to File, Export, Save for Web. That's very, very important. GIFs really don't exist anywhere except, let's be honest, the internet. Hold on, sorry.
Yeah, we just have a little spinning wheel here,
guys. Wheel of death over on this other screen we got going on. Anyway, so like I was saying before, you could also take these layers and make them in Photoshop. So we'll get back to that real quick. So we're gonna see. Oh, look at that! It's already on GIF. So we're gonna hit GIF.
Fantastic.
Let's see. What size do I want this to be? It's probably a little bit too big.
Right now it's 232 gigabytes.
Okay, so we're gonna try GIF 180 through 128. Good gosh. It's gonna load and it's gonna reset the size of the file.
If you guys have any questions at all, don't be shy.
If we want it to be less.
And the troubles of live streaming and demoing.
Basically, the idea is you want this to be as low a size as possible, and then we're just gonna hit save. And by the way, depending on your browser, depending on where you're viewing this GIF afterwards, it may not loop. But once you get and you upload it to the internet, it will loop. The internet does recognize that. Instagram will recognize that it is a GIF and that it will loop. So we're just going to save this to this folder we're working in.
Save.
Make sure that you save it for web as a GIF, though. That's really important. Otherwise, it won't recognize that it should repeat. It will just do it once. Also, it will likely be too big.
And from Photoshop, can you export it as a .mp4? Because I know Facebook actually Facebook doesn't allow for direct upload. But let me see this question here real quick. So Akash Joshi just wrote, "What is the difference between GIF and TIFF?"
So, GIF is basically like a looping file. Whether it is video or whether it's graphics like this or whether it's photos, it's basically just looping. TIFF is like a photo, basically.
Isn't it uncompressed file type with
it's an uncompressed
transparency?
file type. Yeah,
and it's huge usually.
It's massive.
Like TIFFs files can be up in like 400 megabytes. A GIF is super tiny, like maybe just like 1 megabyte.
Yeah, and it should probably be less than that in some ways. But yeah, no, TIFFs are really, as far as I'm aware, and as far as I've used them,
I don't know
for
what it stands
photos.
for, but I know
I do not actually know
but
what it
GIF
stands
is
for.
graphics interchange or interface format. I forget exactly.
I don't even know why you know that.
I know. Because I gave that presentation on GIFs.
Oh, right.
The history of GIFs.
Okay, so I'm going to, I'm going to see our GIF again.
Yes. There it is.
Wait, why are you,
So if we hit the space bar, it will play, right?
Wait, just watch it here. Give me a second. Never enough RAM. Never enough RAM.
New computer coming tomorrow. Can't wait.
Oh, here. Okay, because we did it really fast. Just remember, remember we didn't change the settings after we did it really fast, so my bad. But, oh God, now it's not going to load again.
Pull it over so they can see it better.
I'm trying to. It's not letting me.
Oh, there we go. So there's
you can see it looks a bit ridiculous. Like, I would 100% slow this down. But you get the idea. So again, all we did was save for web, and then we exported it that way. Okay.
That's how you feel after you drink coffee.
You're like, yes. Anyway, okay. So let me go back to Photoshop real quick. I want to show you guys how to change the settings or change the size on something afterwards. So I'm going to get rid of the first and second steam that we worked on, and I'm just going to say that like I am exporting this one file, this higher steam. I'm going to get rid of all the frames because we're just going to kind of start over here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show all of this in the beginning because I want to be like that the steam's there and maybe it's just swaying back and forth. Again, this is going to look a little bit jolty by all means. But what we're going to do the same thing is that we're just going to create a new layer. Okay. I'm going to select the steam and I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to move this over 1 or 2. That's basically 20 pixels when you hold shift. It's 10 or 12. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to do 2 more back to the center. Does that make sense? I'm moving it, not 2 spaces, but holding shift and jumping to basically 20 pixels. Going to create, like I said, another layer back to the beginning, 1 more layer, 2 shifts, 2. Wow, your left, my right. My God, I don't know.
So are you shifting it in position or scale right now?
I'm shifting it in position, so it's basically gonna like joltily like do the steam. It's not gonna look great. I'm gonna be quite honest, but you get the idea where you can move the object in Photoshop. You don't have to create different levels if you wanted to.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just do this back to the middle, and then this is gonna look rough. Yeah, it looks rough, but you get the idea. And so okay.
And you can do that in combination with what you did before.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was
making the size and then
moving.
Hair, yeah. So think about it this way, like so the hardest part I think sometimes if you're not like a visual person, that you want to think about how things move, whether they're also moving horizontally and vertically, which is what steam does. So that's why it does look a little jolty, and for it to really look smooth, you're going to want your arches on the side when it moves over here to really kind of bend, because the actual steam doesn't physically move. It just more bends one way or the other. So if we were really to go back, we would redraw the steam for the second piece, that it was just more like arched to the left or arched to the right.
Do you want to do that instead of doing Cinemagraph?
No, I mean, I definitely want to still show a Cinemagraph.
Okay, cool.
So you get the idea. Is that, like, remember for before I was saying that, like, I did a fish before? Okay, well, you're going to do a fish for the coffee cup. Just bear with me. Actually, we'll do a piece of sugar. That's even more applicable. Okay, so we're going to do, sugar is going to be dropping. It's going to be just a black box. So here we are. It's our black sugar. And what I'm going to do, okay, same thing again, like a soccer ball. If you wanted a soccer ball to jump across the stage or page, you just start somewhere, and just kind of have it bounce. So you would just move its position based on the frame. So right now you can see I'm clicked right now, by the way, on the first frame. I'm going to create one more frame again. I'm going to move it. Actually, I'm just going to move it down a little. Oh, God.
Hey, G Hosh from Sweden. We actually had the steam animate upward like maybe 10 or 15 minutes ago before you came in. We were just showing how to add movement left or right just when you tuned in. So if you rewatch the stream later on, you can see the steam going up that we were showing. But again, it's really rough because we're doing it just for the demo. As Megan was saying, she drew the lines in Illustrator and she drew this coffee cup in Illustrator prior to the stream, and we just did some basic frame by frame animation in the motion timeline of Photoshop. So right now she's gonna animate this black square pretending that it's like a sugar cube that you're dropping in.
So basically I just like kind of harshly moved it down the page, and I'm just gonna hit play. You get the idea. Like if you do it, but obviously more structured, like maybe you move it 10 pixels to the right and then 10 pixels to the left and then 10 pixels down, it will look smoother. It just takes honestly some finagling and some playing around with it. There's no like perfect way to do this. It's just totally based on what you are wanting to do. Like if you want a fish to swim across the page, let's be honest, fish technically not maybe, I don't know, swim in a direct line. So maybe you wanted to just kind of like move across the page. You would just want to play around with the position of the fish. I keep going back to this fish. Of where it is from the start to the end.
Right here, is that motion blur right here if you hover over it? No, it's that allows you to do motion tweening. Okay.
So another way to also do this is, for instance, say you had actually we'll draw this. Okay, I'm gonna here are these frames.
Goodbye, coffee cup. Goodbye, sugar cube.
Good God. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to change this fill to be 0 and the stroke to be black, and I want it to be like...
So you're adding a border.
Actually, sorry, I changed the background's color. Didn't mean to do that. Okay.
Going back in history, you can't see that window.
Yeah, no. Okay. And then just gonna make like almost like it looks like a photo frame or something like that. I'm gonna increase the size of the stroke so that's like a black frame. Okay, and say this is like, you know, you had a picture of a gallery behind, for instance. Do you have any pictures on your desktop by any chance?
Pictures? We can go to Unsplash or something real quick.
Let's do that. Never mind.
If you want to go
Internet Explorer.
I don't have that. I'll just create a new window.
Okay.
If you go here and hit Command N, and then just pull it over.
Okay. So we're gonna basically show that, like, you know, the picture in the frame is going to change based on, like, it's just gonna loop, almost like it's like a slideshow. Maybe not.
We're going to Unsplash to download some quick photos.
Unsplash is the best for photos.
But we may have a bit of a delay. Let's see. So
I'm just gonna download like really anything at this point.
Yeah. Could be any of these.
Okay.
The horse.
Download the horse. Oh, this is gonna be a horse slideshow.
Oh
no, this will just
energy.
be cats and horses. And parrots. Okay.
Great.
Anyway, you get
right.
the idea.
We have 4 photos, so we're going to do a slideshow.
And these are already basically files that are already in your computer. So you can drag and drop them if you want and create layers. But Photoshop understands that sometimes that's a huge pain in the ass. Especially think about a loading GIF. Have you ever seen those really complex loading GIFs where they change shape? And sometimes those are made in After Effects, but sometimes those are created like from 100 frames. And you don't want to have to upload every one and then change the opacity, change which layer you're viewing and which one you're not. Like, that's insane. So you're going to go to Import Images from Devices, or you can also do, where are we? Load files into Stack. So that's what I'm going to do here. We'll go back to show you the import videos of files into frames later, but load files into Stack. Basically, what that is allowing you to do is taking a bunch of different photos or files, or if I had created like 20 different Steam layers in Illustrator and import them and recognize that they should, basically that this is made for people who are making frame animation GIFs. So you're going to browse, find our files. I'm
I
hoping.
think it was those Jeff and Samantha. Samantha Shaw. Not that one. Oh wait, is that one? Yeah. Okay. That one. Basically all the ones with the names.
Is it this one too?
Yeah.
Did I download that many?
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't try the Jeff one. Okay. Hit open, press OK.
Hello.
That was a huge pain in the ass.
Okay. So
You got this.
it's stacking them all right now.
Yeah, basically it's
Okay.
stacking them and it's preparing them. So, come on, you got this.
There we go.
Okay, we got all of our files. And so you can see here, when you do that, it creates a new file, which is actually purposeful. So you're going to go, instead of create video timeline, we're going to say create frame animation. And create frame animation, and then click on it.
Great.
Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go back. I'm going to take my frame, my background, and I'm just going to, I'm going to drag them to this file. Did everyone see how I did that?
From the layers, right?
Yeah, from the layers panel. So all I did was hold shift, clicked on one, hold shift, and then I click and drag and bring it over to the tab basically I want to, and I just let go. Okay. So I'm going to zoom out for a second here. I'm going to make this background the entire width of the file. And then I'm going to make my frame this. And then I'm going to move these to the back.
Richard asks if there's a standard size limit for GIFs in general for Facebook, Google, etc. Not really. I mean, I would just keep it as small as possible for web.
I think there's a max. I'm sorry, I actually don't know that off the top of my head. But Facebook and Instagram and Twitter are really good about giving you like size standards. So if you just literally Google like Facebook, like size standards or GIF standards, they're usually in their design standards, and they have like a brand guideline.
You can't actually upload a GIF to Facebook, Richard. Actually, you can only upload .mp4s. So from Photoshop, you can export the GIF as a video, correct? I remember asking you once.
Yeah, we have to upload it as a
But that's why I make
MP4.
my GIFs in Premiere Pro, because I will export them as .mp4s. And then I use this special converter called GIF Rocket. It's only for Macs, but there's also PC versions out there that you can use. But I do that because if I'm preparing a GIF for a client, then I can send them the .mp4 of it for Facebook and the .gif that they can then attach to Twitter or any other platform, if that makes sense. But I would say it's safe to be 5 megabytes and lower. It could be higher, but I would try to aim for that. I think 10 megabytes is fine, but anything over that I think is just a bit much. It just depends on how much is going on in the GIF and how long the GIF is. If it's over 10 seconds, I would probably recommend keeping your GIFs maximum 10 seconds, because you want the looping action to be quick and you want to get to the middle of things fast, otherwise people don't even get to the end.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of hack this because I just want you guys to see at least what I was trying to get to show you. I'm going to, this parrot is weird. Okay. So if you have all your files already in place, and here, we're just going to go to our frame real quick just because I really want to show you guys what I was trying to do, is that we're going to go into this frame here and said make frames from layers. Basically, it's taking all of your layers and putting it in and like creating frames for you so that you don't have to do this yourself. And you can see here that we're switching between our 3 pictures. If we move them all to the center of the page and we hit play, now they would just basically be like a slideshow. And of course, that's not as cool of a GIF. The idea is like if you already have the files ready to go in from another place or from photos, and you can just go, like I said, we're going to want to go to File, Scripts, File, load files into Stack, which is basically the stack which we're creating on your layers in the bottom. And then we would just say go to File, create new file for each frame, and then make sure these 2 pieces are create new layer for each frame, and then create new layers visible in all frames, and then we would just say, oh, we already did this, make frames from layers.
Okay.
Then we hit that, and it would automatically populate for you. I don't like that as much because I tend to want to be able to customize it a bit more, and I don't usually come prepared. I don't also make a lot of GIFs with photos. I think this works really well with photos. Again, there are like 5 different ways to make. Actually, probably there's more than 5 ways to make GIFs, but this is just one of them.
Sure.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to teach you guys how to make a cinemagraph. First things first, cinemagraphs in Photoshop, I'll be quite honest, they're kind of a roundabout way to make them. If you are comfortable in Photoshop and you are not comfortable in Premiere, that's fine, and you can totally do it in Photoshop. But I will say it's probably like 10 more steps?
Yeah.
Yeah, if that. And in general, cinemagraphs, like Kelsey said, are like fancy GIFs. They're like the high end of GIFs. They're not grainy. They're usually like they're sophisticated GIFs. Sophisticated GIFs is really what they are.
Is there a way to add transitions between frames? Somebody asked.
Hold on.
Actually, while you look this up real quick. So Super Unicorns, awesome handle, by the way. I would say that if you want to add, like Megan's showing you the Photoshop version. If you want to make a cool GIF with rotating images, I would actually say go into Premiere Pro because you can easily animate the photos to have transitions between each other a lot easier than doing it in Photoshop. So I think a card on this video, which is one of those like icons in the top corner that pops out, I have an actual link to a video on how to make a cinemagraph in Premiere Pro. So you can watch that later on and you can compare which process you like better, doing it in Photoshop if you're more comfortable or going into Premiere Pro. But if you're working with photos, I would say 100% use After Effects or Premiere Pro to do a slideshow. Megan was just showing you that there is an option for it to do frames from photos inside of Photoshop.
You can also do frames from graphs or graphics as well. So basically, cinemagraphs, it's really important. The video file is actually probably the most important piece of this. If your frame isn't still, so we always suggest use a tripod, hold it in one place. We do not want the frame to move. You know, a lot of those time-lapse videos where you see like a sunset and it's across like 24 hours or whatever. And it also pans at that point. You do not want it to pan. You want it to be in one place at one time, and just that's it. Like basically you want more video file than you actually probably need. So say for instance you are making a cinemagraph of, what are we making a cinemagraph?
The coffee with
so we're going to make one of coffee with person in the background. So say you're pouring coffee and then there's someone off to the side here just like reading a book or whatever. You want to make sure that you basically do that for longer than you think so. If you think you only want a cinemagraph 10 seconds, make sure you have film for like 30 or 40 seconds. Because maybe that person overlaps with your coffee stream, which is really hard. Like it needs to be like an isolated movement.
And like some of these cinemagraphs, like the idea is that you're just isolating a movement of an inanimate object. So for instance, this woman is completely still. Actually, some of these are kind of creepy.
These ones are kind of creepy.
Yeah. So
the reason I like the frame one is nice.
And it's still looping. It's still a GIF format. It's just you're basically creating a mask on the object that you want to move, and everything else is still. Kind of like that woman that just seems like she's
so
not moving at all.
You see this woman, then she's drinking wine, and her wine is not moving. She is not moving, but the fire is, which is why you almost need 2 motion. You can't just basically like it wouldn't work with a coffee cup with just steam coming out of it unless there's ever any other motion to show that everything else is still in the frame, if that makes sense. So like say you have a hand reaching for a coffee cup and the steam's coming up and we isolated the movement of the steam and the hand is frozen, that would be a perfect example of a cinemagraph. But that's why the video file is actually really important. It's sometimes honestly easier to make your own video files for it.
You can direct it and you can Oh wait, what's that fan one? That was really cool.
Oh, the fan one's really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
So see, like, the fan moves her hair, and that's really cool. But so I don't necessarily love the bug one because there's no other movement on the oranges, and how would you know that the oranges aren't going to move? Yeah, you need to show that there's other movement going on, so that way it's weird that only one thing is moving. So we downloaded a video from Pond 5 of this espresso. I always say espresso, it's espresso. And then there's a guy in the background moving a book. So what Megan is going to do is just isolate the movement of the espresso maker
coming down and then freezing the background inside of Photoshop.
So just so you know, all I did is I went to File and Open. You can actually open an MOV file. It doesn't have to. Photoshop is really applicable for other files as well.
The small one.
Oh, so the small one. So we actually had to compress this video file because it was really big.
Do we want to show it to them?
Yeah, not...
yeah, there we go.
So this is the original file, by the way. So you can see that this guy is moving over here, and then the coffee is being poured. So the reason why this is a perfect cinemagraph is because his movement doesn't overlap with the movement of the espresso being filled, like the espresso cups being filled up. If they did overlap, realize that like we have to draw over, we'll show you with a paintbrush about where we want that movement to overlap. So say if his hand was behind the coffee and I said I wanted to isolate this movement, it would also allow his hand to move too. So it's really good that they're separate. That's why it's really hard to sometimes make cinemagraphs that look like they're obvious cinemagraphs and also like don't give you all so weird.
Definitely an art form.
Yeah,
sure.
It's difficult. So we're gonna hit open. Yay. Okay, so what it automatically does, I still don't understand why this won't like.
Do you want to close down this window?
Wait.
Oh, there we
Yay.
go. There we go.
Oh,
Sweet.
lovely. Okay, so what I'm going to do here first is the most important part of the cinemagraph is that you want it to look like it's in a loop. Unlike with our coffee cup where like it's very like jolty, cinemagraphs have to be smooth. Otherwise, they just really don't look as cool. So we want it to look as cool as possible. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to get rid of some of the beginning of this file, if it will let me. And I'm just dragging the end like in Premiere. And I'm getting rid of the part of this file, like that.
So basically just trimming it by dragging it.
And then what I want to do is I want to duplicate this. So I'm going to do this from this layer here. You can see I just click on my video group, and I'm going to hit duplicate group. And it's asking me, I'm just going to name this, okay, with a copy. Okay, so I have video group 1 and video group 1 copy. It doesn't matter which one's on the top, which one's on the bottom, by the way, because they're both exactly the same file at this point. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this bottom file. It has to be the bottom one, even if it's not the copy one, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to move it to the end of this video file. Okay? I'm sorry. There we go. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to elongate the video that we just cut out underneath. Okay? And then I'm going to shorten this piece here. Oh my God.
Testing your patience with this one.
Yeah. Okay. To the end. Basically, the idea is, and that's why you need so much video file. Like if you can shorten this, actually, you know what? That's actually what I'm going to do. I want this to be really good. So I am going to, real quick, shorten this a little bit more. Oh my God. Good Lord. And then I'm going to hit duplicate layer again. Or group, sorry. And then again, I'm going to move this back to the edge. Going to elongate the video that we cut off underneath. Basically, the idea of this is at the start that they both have the same, like your start point is also your end point, so that it just looks like it's repeating, if that makes sense. Okay? So then we're going to take this here and make this at the end. Cool. Okay, next part is we're going to decrease the opacity of this top layer, of this top basically video. So we want it to start basically decreasing in opacity. By the end, we want it to be 0 opacity. Wow, this is a much bigger struggle than I thought it was going to be. The lag time is insane.
Yeah, even with a small file.
I know. You can't even imagine what this was like before with a big file.
Yeah, this file, we reduced it down to 32 megabytes, and before it was 442. And
It was really
that was the issue, but
yeah,
it's just the live streaming.
Okay. Sorry. So you can see here on the side that you have altered video position, opacity, style. So we want opacity. So what we're going to do is click on here. There we go.
And created a keyframe. And now you're dragging it to the end of the clip?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna move this a little bit here. No. Okay, we're gonna go to the end here. Oh my gosh.
And I Control Z that, so that way you don't have to drag it.
It's okay.
Okay. And hit it.
Cool.
Okay.
Whew.
2 keyframes have not been
Woo.
so hard.
Okay. So then at that point we actually, no, that's not going to let me do that, is it? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry guys. The idea is that where I put my first keyframe, it's going to be at 100% opacity, and at the end it's going to be 0. Okay? So then as we move along, wow. Okay. So if you clicked on the first keyframe, then over here it would say 100% opacity right here, okay? So that when you know that's 100% opacity. If you want it to be less, if you're working on anything like that, you know, it would just be less. Mm-hmm. And then wherever you put the other keyframe, you put 0 opacity, and then basically the keyframes allow you, like in Premiere, as I'm aware, they just decrease automatically for you based on the time that you're giving them. Mm-hmm. Make sense?
Now, with the opacity there, are you changing it over in the layers controls?
Yes, I am. I am changing it over the layers controls. So you have
to select the video group 1, copy 1?
Because see here, I'm like already clicked on the layer, and I opened the drop down. Mm-hmm. So it's automatically recognizing that this is the layer I'm working on. But if you want to just double check, you can see here I'm clicked on this layer in this layers panel, and it's in that group. So that's why I say, like, if you really wanted to do like top layer, bottom layer, you can name your group layers, and that might help you. Okay, so I think we got everything I need here. Okay, so it's Shift Option Command C.
Okay, so we just reduced the opacity on the top layer.
Yes.
And now what are we doing on the bottom layer?
Nothing yet. Okay. So it's okay because we want that to basically, okay, I'm not even going to bother playing this, but basically what you would see at this point is once you get to 0 opacity at the end, it's already starting at the beginning of the next one. So it's showing a loop because you're decreasing the opacity and it's overlapping with the other one. Because this one on the this file on the bottom is 100%, and this end point is exactly where this starts. That's why we extended it and then decreased the end so that the start point and the end point are the same.
So when it loops, it looks like it's a cycle, even though it looks like we don't know what we're doing now and it's frozen.
It's frozen.
It'll loop.
Oh my gosh. Okay, anyway, so then what we're going to do after that, I'm sorry guys, we're going to create a still image of the top video. Maybe. Okay, let me see. Woo! Okay, so I did Shift, Option, Command, E. Yes, that is a mouthful. But what it does, Option, Command, E. It's the quickest way to do it, I promise. So what you do...
that just made a frame of that exact moment.
And so, hold on. Oh my god.
Do you want to make it a bit bigger so it's easier to see?
Maybe. But no, I'm scared too. Okay. I'm going to just do this one more time, by the way.
Yeah. Command, Shift, Command, Option... Wait, Shift, Option, Command, E?
Shift, Option, Command, E.
To make a still frame. We lost them.
It's fine. Okay, where did my other keyframe just go? Good Lord.
Maybe just hit undo.
Okay, 1 second.
There you go. There we go.
Okay.
Opacity now.
We're going to go back to the beginning. That's where by the way, you should be creating your the frame from. So we actually could probably do it from anywhere, honestly, because we want it to look like the guy should be flipping his... Actually, this is perfect. See here with his pen? It looks like he should be writing. So it looks like that motion should already be happening. So I'll do that here. Again, Shift, Option, Command, E. Cool. Great. We got this. You can see here it's in video group 1, so I'm just going to actually move it in my layers panel up to the top, which creates like a new layer. I'm going to move it up to here. Oh my gosh. And then I'm going to make it this entire length of the video.
Great.
Cool.
So still frame on the very top.
Still frame on the top. The video layer before is going from 100 to 0% opacity, and the one below it is just making sure that the video layers loop correctly. So, knowing what Kelsey said, again, we are now like 5 steps in Premiere Pro. This is like the second step.
We just need 2 layers.
You just need 2 layers. Anyway, so at this point, we're creating a layer mask, okay? So, we are basically, this top layer, we want to like push aside the motion of the espresso, like we want to see basically underneath the motion of the espresso coffee coming down into the cup. But we want to basically keep the still image of everything else in the frame. So we're going to create a layer mask. So based on layer 2, I'm going to hit a layer mask. Cool. And then what I'm going to do, which is really important, oh, that's nice. What I'm going to do is, in order to basically delete what it is that you want to see, set your background color and white color. You want the color that you're about to draw on be black. So we're going to switch this here. Basically, all I did is the top color now should be black and the bottom should be white. That allows me to see underneath the video file, basically see underneath the still image. I'm going to go to my paintbrush, and I am just going to click here. And you can see that I don't see anything. Oh, gosh, come on, please work. Actually, so it is the wrong shift. Haha, slash.
There we go.
Okay, let's back that up here.
So what did
I'm
you
gonna
do to reveal that?
redo what we're going to do here.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it was a layer mask.
So again, originally what it was before when I created a layer mask is that this right here where you can see my mouse, the top color was white and the bottom color was black. We want to switch that. Okay. In order to see what's underneath, we need to have the black color be top and the white color be bottom. Okay, so we're going to just hit this switch foreground and background colors. And then I'm going to hit on my paintbrush tool. I'm going to make sure that it's at a decent, basically like size, and I want the hardness to be 100% because I want to make sure that I'm getting clean lines on the movement, okay? Mm-hmm. Again, when you have a lot of movements that are very close to each other, you might want to make a smaller paintbrush and zoom in, but you can see the thing with this, good God, is that the guy is pretty much nowhere near the movement of the actual coffee cup filling up, so we're pretty good. And so that what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we're clicked on the layer with a layer mask. And then we're going to start drawing. And then remember, we held shift. It's like actually a backslash, right?
The backslash, yes.
Yeah, so you can see it to reveal it. So I'm just going to make sure I'm getting just the coffee.
The backslash is right above the return or enter key on a keyboard, right underneath delete. And that reveals the movement of the brushstroke that Megan is doing right now to basically mask the still image so we see the movement beneath in the layer below. There we go.
See, it's working.
Yeah, it's working. It's just
you just can't see it. Okay, so I'm going to just back this up for you guys one more time so you can see.
What we'll do is we'll export it at the end of this, and I'll tweet it out and say this is what we created.
Yeah, I'm sorry, everyone. So I'm going to back it up one more second here. So you can see that originally when I had it on the still frame in the beginning, the espresso was just coming down straight. But you could kind of see that halfway through the video, at least I could, is that the espresso kind of juts out a little bit. And because I didn't highlight that piece in the layer mask, it disappeared, which isn't what I wanted to do. So I'm going to go back to the layer mask here, and I'm just going to hit my paintbrush again, and I'm just going to create basically a wider area under this so that I'm getting all of the espresso.
Yeah. Again,
like you can do this as sloppily as possible as you really want in this. So you're good.
And so I'm going to hello to Pakistan, Techno Sapien. Thanks. I'm really glad that you found inspiration on the channel. Keep on rocking it.
So at this point, you're just going to hit the backslash again, which, as Kelsey said, is right above the return key.
On an American keyboard. On
an American keyboard. Sorry, everyone. And then that's it. Like, you're done. Yeah, I know. I know that sounded like it took a while, but really it's finding the best photo or the best video file and making sure. Do we want to try to
export it?
Yeah, we could try.
Okay.
So actually we might want to just try exporting it as an MOV. It might work better. We would also export this as a GIF, but
let's try doing it as a movie file.
Actually, let me try the GIF first.
Oh, that's cool. There's a render video option in Photoshop. I'm learning something new all the time.
Okay, so we're going to do the same thing that we did before. Maybe not. But again, all we did, remember, was start the video file, take off part of the beginning, duplicate that, put it at the end, decrease the opacity, add a layer on top, and add the layer mask. And then really that's it. It will, someday over the rainbow, it will allow us to export it as a GIF, and then it will have the same, basically we'll decrease the size of it, excuse me, and then we'll decrease basically the size of the file, and then it will allow us to use it as a GIF, and it will look like the ones that we showed. Maybe not exactly. Those ones were really beautiful on that website we showed you. But people actually do these for a living. So somewhere over the rainbow.
Yeah, you can make cinemagraphs, but you really need to try to figure out how is it applicable to that client. How can they use it?
Yeah.
I think that they're just great visuals to have on websites.
Mm-hmm. I agree, yeah.
So like if you need like some sort of background cover video, instead of the cover video, you can make it into a cinemagraph so it really pops and stands out and catches people's attention.
I also use them a lot in my portfolio. I'm doing a lot of web design and branding design. So what I'll do is kind of show like the beginning and end process of something with a GIF or cinemagraph or a workshop that I have video from or something like that. So people become part of the process that I was working through, and that actually I've heard a lot of times makes my website much more compelling. And I've seen some of the best portfolios I've seen actually use them, and that's kind of where I took my nod from on them. So I think it's great. So, yeah.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll end the stream just in a second here,
because we
will export this, and I will share it with you guys later so you can see the final product of the cinemagraph, isolating just the espresso liquid coming out. And thanks so much for tuning in, guys. And
thanks, guys. This is great.
I'll let you know the winners. Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
She's awesome, and check her out at mesoule.com.
Okay, it's my first initial, my middle initial, and my last name. Okay.
Yeah.
mesoule.com.
Great. Cool. All right, guys. You want to end it?
Yeah, sure.
Bye.
Bye.